Ray Geiger didn't like the sort of thing that the community is pulling with respect to his art. I mean, he did a pretty powerful sculpture. Came to me, he was shaking me about 6 in the morning. James, you got to get up, got to get up. 12 inches of snow outside. He's waking me up early in the morning to come out and see his sculpture. It may have been earlier, it was pitch dark. Like, where you been? I haven't seen you for a week. So he shows me this beautiful sculpture. It was like a weird old Spanish galleon. He'd get up on it and shake it. Uh, yeah, but the seniors are accusing me of stealing from them for it and stuff. Geiger gave me all of his art. I kept it safe. He gave it to me. This is yours, Jimmy. I put a roof over his head. He was joining the army. I kept it safe for a really long time and gave it back to it. It's like that scene in Psycho, at the beginning. Just put it away till the man's not drunk. Fortunately, there was no woman to make off out the door with it like there is in the Alfred Hitchcock film. And people who go hypnotizing look for things within themes. So what I'm saying is that it's misplaced prepossession because they scripted me. Now, there's a woman named Gretchen in Seattle who's very grotesque in the way that Seattle has handled this. The script involved the murder of Martin Luther King, and that is what the press and the administration has kept silent about. Obama has been advocating for the murder of Martin Luther King. It's right there in print. So I just got a call on the computer. She typifies. The Allegheny Community College complained they have one of Ray Geiger's paintings up in permanent exhibition. These people are not strangers to me or the issues. I mean, things come up that Pittsburgh knows that other people don't. Like the long letter that I got published in the Post Gazette, bitching and complaining and deriding and slamming apartheid for good reasons. Sent Paulswell to Africa to get them to divest stuff. But there's this theme, I'm interfering with them. I'm interfering with the attempt to work with King's killers and so on. I mean, that's not what they say, but they come out with their violence about it. Oh, you were never tortured. I mean, once they got away with torturing me as a child, I became a curiosity. Geiger had a friend named Truman Shump, which contracts to Trump, and it depicts Harry Truman as the fourth stooge in the Axis tripartite, whatever. This woman in Seattle, Gretchen, the people at CCAC complain that white students don't. I was a model white student. I covered every single course they had. And begged them to give us more courses on African studies and African American studies. I wanted to know more. I wanted to do more work. I wanted to be more helpful. I wanted Native American studies. I came out west and got Latin American studies. And I said, look, I know who James Meredith is. I know who Edna McKenzie is. I know who Fannie Lou Hamer is. I know who Ida B. Wells is. I know if there's people I don't know, get to it. She was like, don't try it. Because she's always ingratiating herself through the mantras of Seattle Basque. The Black Power mysterious, the man in the mask who comes out with the big picture. Him. They bitch and complain that you won't study them, and then when you know everything, they're like, shh, don't say anything, that's interfering. Now, one of the things that we know, I remember when I was a child, I'd get taken hostage, and I knew I was being taken hostage. I was in a trance, I was in a coma, I was deaf, I was in the back seat, huddled up, afraid for my life. And sometimes there'd be these Jewish boys, and they'd be talking to each other, and I wouldn't be able to hear them. They're looking at me darkly and menacingly, and I knew something was in their minds. And I connected with them in the intellectual circuits of Alderdice. And I was biding my time to understand how they could possibly take themselves as warlords the way they seemed to. I now know that Wattenmaker, Schwarzenegger, Attenborough, and Netanyahu, there's a supernova down the road here by Cosmonaut. So Netanyahu, Putin, and Trump probably have this all worked out as a leverage for militarization. Putin said, create force to constrict the power so that power is equally distribution and control forces are in place. It's like military zombieization. Nobody can pry it open, look at behind the scenes. It's like tearing down the boards at a Styx concert in Three Rivers Stadium. You see a line of troopers. That's the face behind the face. Don't even try it. Don't even try it. So we know that Attenborough, Netanyahu, Wattenmaker, Schwarzenegger were all. Ray got me to fish a painting of his of Greta out of the trash. So we have this picture of an old man and a young girl down here in the park. It's some sort of army psychology from the parochial madman. The Jewish community did a lot of this to us. The name Jill is on the poison that created the neuroplasm. And if we want to stop bombing Gaza, we have to pray mercy to Jill. And of course, Gaza says, please leave us alone. Please leave us alone. Vote Jill. Vote Jill. Who's surprised? Their hands were full. I knew their hands were full during the AIDS attack. But Arnold Schwarzenegger comes up and sledgehammers me as a boy through proxies, right? Once the deed is done, I'm just a curiosity. And they come nip at me, nip, get some feedback at the jumping hole. America has laws, we're not supposed to be legally able to swindle somebody. You'd be surprised. There really are laws. Like if you have a $30 mechanism and you've never touched it, so it's still worth $30, but you mark it down to 20, the person certainly can't give you 15. It's illegal because people are supposed to be protected against extortion. I was absolutely amazed. I'll hear something good to say about Seattle, the University District in Vegas. I took her books, good books, which if I had taken to any shop in Pittsburgh owned by those rip-off people, I would have been ripped off for them. She actually gave me a fair price for them. I actually did. But America has lost that kind of integrity. People actually laugh when they rip someone off. That's the American character. If you look at the people who stalk me and hate me, they stole my camera. They swindled me for drawings. They played games with my name and reputation. They they lied to and about me. They, you know, then accused me of being non-materialistic because I couldn't stop them from doing it. I was a neurotrauma, and so what they're implying, the community is implying, was that I learned something from somebody else, so I'm ripping off his media. So Ringo Starr wants to gobble a high finance piece of priceless art, and it's not legal to do that. It's not legal to do. They hotwired. The whole thing was a hotwire. They hotwired Beatles when they were little. And what the Beatles did was they wrote an ulterior story with Woody Allen and the great Mongols of Hollywood. This is working on this for a really long time. It's an ideological switchboard where it's legal to rip somebody off. It's not technically legal under the law for colonial power to go and occupy somebody's house and just take it from them. But this mechanism, which goes back to the founding of Hollywood, wrote an ulterior switchboard where it is legal. They can rip you off, might makes right. And it's the opposite. It jeopardizes the American character. It jeopardizes American society. It jeopardizes the dignity of law and order in our society. It jeopardizes it. One of the ways they went about it was by making it seem culturally acceptable. Like Lennon comes in like a piranha and spreads drugs everywhere. And as Mamie Duff would call it, nebulous threads connecting these people that became the vectors for a contagion. And of course, people were going who didn't fall for it, they had it coming. Ringo Starr was one of the people who said about Mount Desert Island, Jimmy had it coming. In other words, the people who they misled and got set up as lemmings had it coming. That's the only logic in the mind of Ringo Starr. His utterances fall into that play. And there's a dislocation, someone like George Galloway. Rolling Stones go out and perform for Tel Aviv at the brink of their Holocaust. Is George Galloway yammering about that? No, he's talking about Poopy Pants Biden all the time. Because he wants people to continue to admire Mick Jagger and the Rolling Stones because he's going to pull the John Lennon rabbit trick out of his hat and say, nah, 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 for the Workers' Party, which most of these people are. They can't bear the thought of somebody being paid for their hard work and injuries. It drives them. They chew the carpet. They ravish the carpet. Because that's the principle that's disallowed under the system where it's legal to cheat someone. That's the system where you are on your honor to make fair exchange. It's disallowed. You can take a child, hit him in the head, boom, take away, scream at him, make him deaf so he can't hear. He doesn't understand, beat him, terrorize him, have him hiding in towel cloth, throwing him in the back seat of stolen cars. Saying, we'll tell your mother. That's legal under the Josh Shapiro Reich. Because these people were working with Milton Schaap. He changed his name to Shapiro plus Frippy plus Schaap, so they wouldn't know he was Jewish. And he was working with Tive. Tive introduced me to Schaap. MS is like manuscript, get it? Ooh, they're so clever. And I say, I remember Martin Luther King. He was the leader of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. He came down from New York with his wife, where there were a lot of student Thai people like Roy Wilkins and third grade Marshall who were going from Washington, D.C. to New York. The neo-Renaissance people who were challenging segregation in the courts got segregation ruled illegal in Brown versus Board of Education. And he went down south to lead from the front where there were sharecroppers. Fannie Lou Hamer had 19 brothers and sisters. It was the 19th herself. Mississippi sharecropper, which they considered uncouth. LBJ cut her off when she was honored to talk to the Democratic National Convention in 1964. You can still see most of what she said. She said, "Is this America where our lives would be threatened daily?" Roy Wilkins was like, "But she's just wearing a cotton dress. She needs to dress." He said, "I'm leading from the front. I'm not going to sit up here in the walled palaces of New York and Washington, D.C., making a difference with the Kennedys. I'm going to go down and challenge Bull Connor in Birmingham. I'm going to challenge Jim Clark in Selma, Alabama. I'm going to make sure that the people who are going on the bus, boycotting the buses and going to the churches and singing and facing lynch mobs and fire hoses and bombings know that I am standing with them." That's what he did. And they came up with this, they used to go around going, "Cootie shot, cootie shot." And they spread the hymnal of grand martyr and an orgy of selflessness who is too afraid to believe in the love of being cheated as an ethical standard, so that Greg Carl and Pope Carl can pontificate that he is the Aaron Bushnell of the Sneeze Symposium. With David Bowie, this ain't rock and roll, this is Eno's side. And this is the story that they scruffed into the face of a kid they had on the sidewalk and were kicking in the head. I had a big lump on the head. And they want to say, "Oh, but he got some special ornamental chocolate from the Trumpy tomb. Feminazi computer." Are you talking about the girl who I fell in love with, who I was engaged to be married to? And these are some really oddball people that are crawling out of the woodwork with Robert Fripp and Penis Gabriel. And I'm saying put a stop to it. That's all. It's simple as that. Saying we can't wait to see you die so we can loot your artwork because there ain't going to be no air for Queerball. There ain't going to be no air for Queerball. Queerball is a walrus. He pushed Clint Eastwood too far.